my name is Zach, and this is how I got hired at NasDaily. I was just wrapping up my 2-year stint in Israel studying in a place called Yeshiva. While I had an incredible 2 years there, I felt it was ready for the next chapter in my life, and that chapter was getting a job. The funny thing is, I actually had a plan to have a job ready at the beginning of 2024, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find anything, and now I only have a couple weeks left before they kick me out. Yeah, no pressure whatsoever, right? So with about 2 weeks left and no plan, I started to put my resume together and apply to various jobs. I even went back to my old career path and I was applying to software engineering jobs all over the place. I would take literally anything because it's better to have a job than no job when I get kicked out. About a week and a half before Yeshiva ends, I also signed up for Nas Summit, which is an event that NasDaily runs across the world to connect creators. I went last year and had an incredible time, so I wanted to go again for one final soiree before I end my time in Israel. All hope was pretty much lost until one day when I received a text message from a friend saying you should apply to this specific job. What was the job, you ask? It was to be Nusayer's chief of staff. I clicked on the job post and looked through it and immediately felt underqualified. Yes, it was exciting. Yes, it was exactly what I wanted in a job. But no, there's no way I'm going to be applying to that. I'm just gonna go to Nas Summit and have fun. But shortly after that message, I started getting messages from about 3 to 4 more people separately. It was then that I took the hint, thanks God, that I should apply to this job. But then it dawned upon me, I'm about to go to Nas Summit. I can ask him directly to take the job and see what happens. Maybe, maybe not. At least I'll know right away. I had one goal for this event, to pitch Nusayer on being his chief of staff. As soon as I got to the main event, I had a wonderful time. I got to make new incredible relationships as well as reconnect with old friends. But as great as the event was, it was literally impossible to get Nusayer's attention. He had a posse with a camera crew following him around the event, and when he was not there, he was speaking on stage. I just could not get access. And unfortunately, this was true all the way into the very end of the event. In fact, I completely gave up on my mission. So I asked my friend Isaac to give me a ride home, and we start walking to the car. I was only a few feet out of the venue when my friend Daniel Gindis calls me. He asked me if I'm going to the after party. After party? Now I had a choice. Do I go home or take this crazy opportunity to approach Nasir and ask him for a job at the after party? Before I had a chance to decide, my friend who was gonna take me home says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, but we miscalculated. We actually don't have space for you in the car. Looks like the decision was made. Isaac goes home, and now my guardian angel enters the chat. Daniel Gindis. From that moment on, he ends up coaching me on every little thing I need to do to maximize my success at the moment of the approach. In addition to the coaching, I make sure to apply ahead of time and even write a script on my phone to make sure when I pitch to him, it's perfect. As I approach the hostel, my heart starts beating rapidly. Am I even gonna get in? What if this completely fails? But thank God, as soon as I get to the front, I see Alex, the COO of NasDaily, who I more or less have a relationship with. And we lock eyes and he tells the registration person that I can join. Now I'm at this exclusive after party with the top creators in Tel Aviv, and it is awesome. Just to give you an example of some of the people at this party, I meet one guy, his name is Aviran. I tell him, I like your shirt. He says, thanks man, you should come to my club, drinks on me. I find out he owns literally one of the hottest clubs in Tel Aviv, Kuliyama. I go up to Alex, tell him that I'm looking for a job, and I asked him, who's the best person to talk to? He tells me, you should go over there to this guy over at the pool table. His name is Aljan. He's in charge of hiring. So I go over to Aljan, we acquaint, have a great conversation, and then the event starts. During the event itself, I learned a ton about how to effectively monetize and market yourself online. That was definitely an added bonus. But here it comes. After the talk, I see the opportunity to shoot my shot. I'm holding my phone with the script open, and my hands are shaking. But then the moment finally happens, I pitch him and it goes really well. You can see this picture over here of me talking directly to Nusayer at the after party and Daniel Gindis, who is my coach, coaching me literally in the moment. It's a perfect shot to encapsulate the moment itself. Pitch goes well, he responds, love it, you should definitely apply, to which I respond, I already did. Wow, well, you should definitely email Alicia as well because she's also in charge of staffing. So he takes my phone. Unfortunately, I was so nervous, I forgot to change the note on the notes app, so he saw like the script I was gonna ask him, which he chuckled when he saw it, and then he put the email that I had to reach out to. Right as I thought this was it, Aljan approaches me. Hey Zach, do you wanna come with the team and party? Normally, I wouldn't go near a club with a stick. It's just not my personality, especially because I just spent 2 years in Yeshiva. It's just not the place for someone like me. But I'm networking, so why not? Let's do it. I ended up having a pretty awesome experience at this party. I'll show you some videos here. We were dancing and it was Interesting trying to navigate this as someone who is trying to be an ethical Jew. But you know what? Had a great time, met some cool people, and had a great time overall. During the course of this after party, I actually learned that there was a second secret after party happening at Nusair's parents' house the following day. I felt like I had built enough rapport to ask Aljon directly if I can come. So I went up to him and I said, hey, can I join the party tomorrow? He said he'll have to do some research, see if it's possible, and to talk to him in the morning. So I go home, wake up in the morning, send him a confirmation to see if I got into the party, to which I received this rejection. Hey Zach, sorry for the late reply. Unfortunately, the bus is full already, and the event is fully booked as well. I thought I had built enough rapport to make this happen, but I guess not. Once again, I started doubting myself. Is this it? Is this all there is? Was all of that for nothing? So I relayed this news to Daniel Gindis, who I had been crashing on his couch for the last couple days at his apartment. To which he responds, you're not giving up here. So Daniel makes a couple of phone calls and then finds out that a friend of his is not able to make it to the event. Not only that, but he spent the morning with Nusair, and Nusair seemed to be looking all over Tel Aviv for sugarcane. Apparently he needed raw sugarcane for a video idea. So Daniel's friend said to me, I know this sounds crazy, but if you're able to find raw sugarcane and get to the bus before it leaves, then you probably have a spot at the party and also impress them enough to get an interview. Only one problem, the bus leaves in about an hour and a half. Yeah, right, like I'm gonna be able to find raw sugarcane in Tel Aviv and get to the bus on time within an hour and a half. But then I thought about it and I said, you know what? This sounds like an adventure. Let's do it. So I immediately leave and start going all over Tel Aviv. I go to the Shuk. I go to all of the main spots and locations that could have it. I ask every single vendor at these locations and no one has it. No one knows where to get it. I should also mention that while I'm running all over Tel Aviv, it's over 100 degrees and I am schwitzing. The bus was leaving at 2:30 and it was 2:20. I was hungry. I didn't eat lunch, so I found my way to a falafel joint that was across the street from Daniel's house. And before I ordered, I asked myself, am I gonna order a falafel here or am I gonna continue to look for the sugarcane? To tell you the truth, I said I'm ordering a falafel. There's no way this is gonna happen in 10 minutes. While I'm sitting in defeat eating my falafel, I get a call from Daniel. I tell him, you know what, I quit. Thank you so much for believing in me, but it just wasn't meant to be. He said, you know what, Zach, that's totally fine. You can give up, or I can drive you to the party and we can find some sugarcane on the way. I said, fine, let's do it. So we start driving to the party and going all over Tel Aviv and nearby surrounding cities. We end up finding this plant nursery where they grow plants that had one final sugarcane plant, and they said, you know what, no one's called us for sugarcane in over 10 years, but we have one plant left. Believe it or not, when you're persistent, things happen. Next up, getting to the party. I ended up getting to the party near the end of the event, but I didn't care. As long as I gave him the sugarcane, I was set. So I showed up, handed it to him, and it was a massive success. Here's the clip.
You want a sugarcane?
I went all over Israel.
What?
I heard from Israel this morning that you
Beginning? You brought sugarcane?
Yeah, I ended up making first.
Hold on, I'm gonna take a picture of this. You brought sugarcane. We need sugarcane.
Why do you need sugarcane?
For a video we're making about sugarcane. And we're dying to find sugarcane. Come inside.
And it was super awesome, but it only lasted about 20 minutes before it ended. Everyone started going on the bus, and I was gonna get a ride home from Daniel. I thought, why not go on the bus and say goodbye to some of the friends I made over the last day? So I go on the bus, and to my surprise, Aljon was sitting near the front of the bus. I go up to him to say goodbye and tell him about the sugarcane story. He tells me, that's a crazy story, Zach. By the way, you have an interview tomorrow. We did it! We got the interview! That's amazing! We're halfway there! But the story doesn't end here. I'm shocked that I got an interview, but I'm freaking out at the same time because the truth is, I have no experience being a chief of staff. What am I gonna say in the interview? How am I going to sell myself in the best possible way? It just so happened to be that Elon Levy, a large political influencer, was at this party and needed a ride home. Daniel, of course, offered him, and he sat in the front seat. To my surprise, his chief of staff sat in the back seat next to me. And the entire way home, he was giving me advice on how to rock this interview. How could I have planned that? Now it's the morning of the interview. I've done as much prep as I could by listening to the recording of my conversation from last night's ride, so I go across the street to a cafe to get a coffee and mentally prepare myself for this interview. To my surprise, two friends of mine who I became friends with throughout the event and the after party were at this cafe. Ironically, both of these guys were named Jonathan, but one of these Jonathans was a headhunter, and I told him I had an interview with NasDaily coming up. So once again, he started coaching me on how to be the best at this interview, but this was more on the soft skills side. I know it sounds crazy, but this is all true. Now I'm as ready as I possibly can be for this interview. I show up to the interview, and it's Alicia and Aljan. The interview actually goes really well, although we're all on the same page that I'm probably not the best fit for this role. But they wanted to reward me for all of the effort to at least let me do the project that everyone else who applied to the role had to do. And if I submitted this in 24 to 48 hours, then they'll let me know if I actually got the job. Great, so I go back to Yeshiva and I end up pulling an all-nighter to get this thing done. I pour my heart and soul in this project, making sure that it's perfect so that I have my best shot of getting this job. I turn in the project on time, and then a few days later, I get a message from Aljan. Nusayr would like to have a call with you today in about 3 hours. Are you available? It finally happened. The moment where everything comes together. I'm gonna be talking to the CEO of NasDaily. So I get on the call with Aljan and Nusayr, to which he tells me almost right off the bat, listen, Zach, you're really not qualified for this role, and I already have an executive assistant, so I don't even need help with remedial tasks. But I am impressed with the effort you did to get to this point, so I still want to reward you with a job. What else can you do for us? After a small back and forth, he stopped me and he said, you know what? Based off of how you got here, I bet you could do really well in sales. So he ended up hiring me to help him get big influencers to use his platform, Nas.io. While I didn't get the role as chief of staff, I did get a role that I'm super excited about. Now my job is to talk to big creators every single day, many of which having over 1 million followers. The funniest part of the story is what happened with the raw sugarcane at the end. They ended up making a video about environmentally friendly bras that you can use sugarcane to produce.
These guys made a bra from this plant, sugarcane.
Definitely not what I expected, but I'm glad I was able to help. While I did put crazy amounts of effort to make this happen, you can see clearly from the story that it wouldn't have happened without friends like Daniel encouraging me when I was down, and God giving me the grace to make this happen in the first place with all of those crazy unplanned moments. If you're interested in joining my NasDaily community, you can do so in the description below. And that's how I got my job at NasDaily.